Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lendingkart Leadership Podcast.
In this series, you get to hear our esteemed leaders answer some very serious and some not so serious questions.
Tune in for some candid conversations.
Today, we have our President of Technology, Analytics, and Capabilities, who's also a drummer, Manish Bhatia, with us. Welcome to our podcast, Manish.
Thanks for having me here, Kenny, and super excited to be a part of this podcast.
Well, it's a pleasure talking to you. Hoping you do more talking than me today, because you've always come across as a stoic, silent type of a guy, and it's rare to find that in startups. So, if you were to describe yourself in 3 words, what would those be?
See, it's very interesting, Kenny. So, first of all, you're telling me I'm quiet, I don't talk too much, and you're giving me 3 words to describe myself. So, I think that wouldn't work. So, I'm going to take a little bit more time. But I'll give you 3 things that I think about, to describe. There's one outside-in view. So, my colleagues, prior to this organization and even this organization, one of the things that they've described me with is a duck.
A duck?
Right? A duck. And which essentially, I was like, why a duck? Right? So essentially what they told me is a very calm personality outside water, but pedaling like crazy inside water, right? To sort of get to one place to the other. So that is an outside-in view. So I've gotten that from a couple of my very close friends and colleagues. Inside-out view would be, I don't take goals. I'm not very specific about goals. The way I like to solve goals is systematically.
Okay.
So which essentially means, if I had to sort of get to a dispersal amount, or if I had to get to a certain target, it is the number is important. But if you really solve it from a systematic standpoint, where you really don't have to worry about how to get there if you have the systems working for you.
Right.
So it could be conversion, it could be TAT, it could be those are the things I absolutely sort of focus on, so that once those systems are in place, you don't really have to worry about the outcome.
Got it.
Right. And the third, I think one of my core values, I feel, is I optimize for trust.
Optimize for trust.
Optimize for trust. So I just want to make sure that I'm invested in a person, in a company for the long term, and quite open about experiences, feedback, taking feedback, and it is what it is. So generally, I try to optimize for trust internally and externally.
Wow, that's very good to hear, Manish. You said that your friends call you a duck. Is that the reason your Twitter handle is called Manish Quacking?
We'll get to it when we get to it.
Okay. So,
but yeah, let me answer that question. So, so Twitter, right? So that is one of the reasons. One of the reasons why my Twitter handle is also called Manish Quacking is because I've been called a duck. And the second piece to it is when you think about what you do on a Twitter, what do? You tweet.
Right.
And tweet is this very elegant, sophisticated way of, expressing something. I am not that. I'm quite like a duck, which is, probably the opposite of a tweet. So that's why I quack.
Great. That's a great story. So while you've been all happy and telling us about your qualities, there's one more quality I'd like to understand.
Yeah.
Is it your anger? Do you ever get angry? Because we have never seen you angry. So do you ever get angry? Or do you remember the last time that you lost your cool?
Actually, I don't remember when I lost my cool. Let me think. I don't think so. I differentiate between being angry and being annoyed. So I do get annoyed. I get very, very annoyed. But I generally don't lose my cool. I don't know. That's how I am. And definitely get very, very annoyed sometimes less annoyed. Sometimes I'm okay. But I don't generally get angry. I don't know why. It's not.
What are the things that work that annoy you?
Acha. So, well, it's, when a person sort of commits to something and over and over, and over, they either miss it or they have no clue about how to sort of get to it. And overall, I do follow up quite a bit around,
Right.
what was it? You guys have committed something, what happened? But if that doesn't come on time, or people don't have a clue of how to get to it, my annoyance meter sort of goes higher and higher. Sometimes I do it by saying this is what I expect. Sometimes I do it by probably brainstorming and mainly looking at the intent of the person.
Right.
And then sort of going into it.
Well, okay. I hope people are listening. Okay, so that's amazing. And before we proceed to our next question, here's a fun fact for all our listeners. Manish was the CTO and one of the founding members of Amazon Pay. We absolutely love Amazon Pay, Manish, like to be very honest. So you were at Amazon for a good 10 years, right? And we've always heard about these great stories of culture at Amazon, how it's always day one at Amazon. So from Amazon to Lendingkart, right? As the president and head of tech, what is the culture that you're trying to build today at Lendingkart?
Sure. Yeah. So overall, I think LK does have 7 core principles or core values, right, that we've defined, and we live and breathe it. We actually follow through on a daily basis. They are customer obsession. Then there is one team, where teamwork is super important. Then speed matters. How do you make sure that things happen on time and quickly? You don't spend inordinate time, trying to sort of discover some things. Frugal innovation, the other. Think big is one. Ownership mindset. And the last but not the least is first time right.
First time, right.
So these are core values that overall as a company we've decided are really, really important for us. These are the 7 pillars that we also run our performance reviews, our projects, programs behind.
Right.
The cultural change that I'm trying to sort of bring into the team is the ability to be extremely agile and being able to experiment very quickly. And I think there's always a lot of work to do, and it's a work in progress. But as we sort of improve in that mindset and that process, in experimentation and agility, I think that is one of the basic core moats that I think LK will be able to sort of create.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. That's very interesting. And I think from this only stems the fact that we've built some killer algorithms, right?
Correct.
And we've read about how you publish work in the media, and we understand that our algorithms are also constantly evolving, right, to help our customers evaluate better, and especially women entrepreneurs. So do you think that's enough, or do you feel more can be done in the larger ecosystem to sort of improve our tech and to drive financial inclusion better?
Yeah. So inherently, right, and just the humans are judgy, right? They have an opinion about everything. They would want to sort of sit back and whoever is sort of coming to them, judge the person, good, bad, ugly, whatever that might be, right? So I think one of the side effects of that is biases and unconscious biases. So it's been so ingrained in a person that they don't even realize that these are biases that are creeping out because of some environmental things that they were exposed to earlier. So those are the things that technology can completely revamp the way we think about lending or financial inclusion or reach, so that people who have the ability to do the right things, who have the right intent, get the right help, right? And that's where we've sort of built a lot of algorithms. We've built extremely deep machine learning algorithms and models to basically make sure those biases are not creeping in.
Right.
And I think algorithms and machine learnings, they are like kids. So if you give them a biased data point, they will learn from those biased data points. So I think one of the things our teams are doing really, really well is actually removing those biases before we feed it into the model.
Right.
So that, and it was actually tested. We actually did a very thorough analysis of our algorithms, and the team, the auditing team actually found it very difficult to say, if there were any biases between people, genders, or whatever. So, really proud about that factor.
Well, great. I think we're also really proud about it. Technology ultimately has to be unbiased. And that's what we say. Technology is unbiased. Through technology, we are trying to simplify finance, right? So do you want to tell our listeners about how you are simplifying finance for MSMEs at Lendingkart?
Yeah. So overall, obviously, algorithms are making it scalable, right? So where now we are, so when one person can say underwrite or take information from say 10 people a day, that's also a lot, right?
Right.
Technologies sort of brings an infinite scale to the ecosystem.
Hmm.
So we are a tech-led company, tech first,
Right.
and what we've built is our ability to do distribution at scale, ability to do origination at scale, ability to actually collect at scale.
Wow.
And for each one of these, we've created products that we built for ourselves, right? Because in the business we basically had zero retail presence, right? But we've been able to disperse in more than 4,000 cities. And how do you do that? So
Right.
what we've done is we've built technology for distribution for LK. We've built this technology to do origination for LK, and we built technology to collect it for LK. And as we were doing it, what we've done is we've taken a step back to say, if we can build it for Lendingkart as one of the lenders, how do we actually enable this tech and expose it to all the other people outside there, other NBFCs, banks, fintechs who would want to reach, who would want origination, who would want collections, who would want underwriting,
right?
And sort of packaged it up in different products. So our distribution as a service is our Accelerate platform. Our underwriting is the Credit platform.
Right.
Our origination end-to-end is our Zero Touch platform. Our collections, which we create, and we basically give software and machine learning models to understand the books, when to settle, when to reach out. It's our Collect and platform. And overall, the entire end-to-end offering is called Together, which includes our co-lending piece.
Right. So that's very interesting. We've quite heard about how co-lending, how boosted up businesses now through co-lending. So this is what you built from the past, and this is what is being done presently. What is the future of these products? How do you see these products developing? Are we only going to focus on MSMEs, or something more is happening to these products?
Yeah. So again, our DNA is that we've built it for ourselves. So we eat our own dog food. And as we sort of doing that, we also want to make sure that the technology that we've created, how do we democratize what we've done? And again, I'll talk about distribution, origination, underwriting, collections, and our Together platform, right? How do we democratize where each one of these could be individually used? And the future is, as we onboard, and we are getting a lot of traction in the industry where a lot of different NBFCs, banks, fintechs are super excited to solve a problem, because what they generally do, what they're really good at, fintechs, is go very deep into a problem. They take a customer set, they go extremely deep. Now, if they have to build out the entire thing, it's very time consuming. So it took us about 8 years to get here. Obviously, extremely expensive. So the future is to make sure that we are able to other NBFCs and banks are able to use our software and are able to grow. And at the end of the day, our focus, as you asked, is our specialty is in MSMEs. So the flavor of any deep integration, any skin in the game, any value add is going to be MSMEs. But if there are platforms, if there are NBFCs and banks who want to use us for other specific use cases that we've not specifically solved, they could use our platform. But they are, what we'll bring to the table is deep understanding of MSMEs.
Right. No, that's very interesting. That is very interesting to know, Manish. Thank you for that. Here is we were slightly moving away from what you do at you do at Lendingkart to how do you do it, right? I mean, you put the tech in the fintech, but we all want to know how. So would you want to tell us about how your usual everyday looks like? Also, by the way, congrats on getting an office in Hyderabad finally.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So just tell us through your day, walk us through what you do, what generally every day since you wake up.
Or the day in my life, as you're saying.
Yes.
All right. So I generally get up at around 5:36. And 3 times a week, I actually do high intensity workout. And the other 3 to 4 times, I might work out, I might not, I might go for a walk, just depends. But I sort of make sure that I'm able to spend that 3 times a week, 3 days in the morning into high intensity workout. Post that, I really enjoy my breakfast after I come back. Read it with a paper or some other information around, read a paper or talk to my wife, Gita, whatever. Post that, obviously, get ready for work. We have that 9 o'clock stand up. We sort of all get into the groove of things, and then sort of meeting starts. Either they are audit meetings or they are brainstorming meetings or there are general information meetings. So it's a very busy overall day. I like to see if I can sneak it at least 1 or 2 hours a day where I don't have meetings. It's generally a stretch, but I really enjoy those times because that's the time when it sort of gives me some breather to think about either there were action items from previous meetings that I need to follow up on, or are there some numbers that are not making sense? So when I'm not in a meeting, I'm either looking at some deck or some number, some spreadsheet to figure out if everything is sort of adding up. Because otherwise, you don't get that breather. It's more of a strategic time for me. And I don't know if my day ever sort of ends because, this position is a always on position, right? So it's either a call or, either you're thinking about it if you're doing something else. But what I generally do as a family is we have dinner together. So no gadgets allowed, half an hour to 45 minutes of just having dinner. So we sort of make time for that. And then try to go to bed, hit the bed by about 11-ish.
Yeah, interesting. Curious to know when is the drumming part? How often does that happen?
Yeah, generally in the evenings. And sometimes it's drum, sometimes something else. But in the evenings where I'm just sitting around, I just want to percussion, anything. It's a drum or a handpan or a pongo or it's a vessel, if you will. Right? So something that sort of makes a noise, has a good bass, I can go for it. Clap box is something that I'm also very interested in.
Wow, that's interesting. I hope we do see you play in some town hall sometime. Okay, so you've been at Lendingkart for a while. What is your most memorable memory at Lendingkart?
Wow. So it's a very difficult question for me, actually, Kitty. I'll tell you why. I've had lots and lots of memorable moments, right? Lots and lots of them. So, it could start with, zero-touch automation. It could start with when we reached 80-85% of co-lending, the different models that we release, the effectiveness of that, when we measure it, and the results are out. It's really, really fulfilling. Accelerate from a distribution standpoint. Collections, I can keep going on. And it's, every month I have 2 or 3 which I'm really, really proud of and happy. But if I look back, right, Kitty, what I also see is all of these are still unfulfilled. We can actually do more with co-lending. We can actually do more with zero touch. We can actually do more with Accelerate. And there's so much more to do. So I think, there's a phrase, right, where you should enjoy the journey, not the destination.
Not the destination,
right? So I think the phase we are in, it's a cause. And the cause is, I don't know if we'll ever reach it, right? Because I don't know if I can, Harsh is ever going to say, okay, I'm done solving MSMEs and I can relax now. It's never going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think
there'll be some other problem in the same space that's going to come up. So I think the journey is important. What I do is every time I go hit the bed, if there's a sense of satisfaction,
right?
Not a high, right? There's a satisfaction that I've moved one step in the right direction. I feel good. I'm happy. If I feel that I've not moved in the right direction, I'm a little dissatisfied and probably annoyed.
Yeah. So that sort of keeps you grounded, is what you're saying. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, like I mentioned that we hope to see you play some percussion instrument at the town hall. But what we do see you doing a lot in these town hall nights are ragging the new joinees. So like, were you always this person like in school or college who just take people's case, or is that something Lendingkart has blessed you with?
I think you should not kill the messenger. So I, while I do enjoy a little bit of ranking, I think that's generally not me. But I do. I'm quite curious about people who've come in to really understand why they've come here, why they joined Lendingkart, why did they make that decision?
Right.
What is so unique about our proposition that sort of brought them from a bigger company somewhere else, right? So that is what I think super curious about, and I sort of go into those details in town halls is what we see.
Interesting. So you're saying you did not do any ragging in college? Is that what you're saying?
I did a little bit. So I think never an extreme, right? So I sometimes enjoy a little bit of ragging, but I give it up also very quickly, saying, "Oh, don't worry about it." I was just sort of having fun with you.
Great to know. Great to know. Here's my favorite question. If you got a chance to go on a dinner, right, with like a famous celeb, who would you pick? Steve Jobs or Elon Musk, and why?
Got it. First of all, thank you for this great opportunity, Kimmy. I was looking forward to it for a very long time. The dream come true for me, actually. Right. So both are ones that I really, really admire, right, for different reasons. And if possible, I would like to go for dinner with both. But if I don't have a choice, what I'll do is sort of I'll go with Elon Musk. And I think I just admire his capability of multitasking.
Right.
Admire his capability of thinking so out of the box with everything he does, right? I think Steve Jobs was really, really good with a very specific area, customer experience, and he brought lots and lots of innovation to that. But if I look at Elon, right, from electric cars, which is Tesla, to SpaceX, to journey to Mars, PayPal, he was the co-founder. There was no infra around that. The Solar City, the Boring Company, Starlink, which is satellites all across the world, Hyperloop, Neuralink. I can go on and on. And each one of those, he started off with a base which did not exist.
That's true.
Right? So he's creating it as we speak. So that is something that I really, really admire him for, and would love to have.
That's why you picked him.
And
you will have
So when is that being organized for?
We'll let you know, but I'm sure you guys will have a great dinner and a long one also there.
Sounds good.
Okay. So I have a tech first question for you. So like we're talking about Web3, right? It's becoming a catch term for New York, better internet, and blockchain is what we're hearing is one of the huge technology breakthroughs that we've seen. So what are your 2 cents on this?
It's a great technology, right? And if you talk about Web3, Web 1, it was the static pages where you could just go view information. There's nothing else you could do. Then Web 2 came along with mobile being more prevalent, where you could actually interact with the Facebooks, Instas of the world came along. Web 3 is another complete pivot to what we've been used to. Right? It's sort of, there are some very core properties that they are sort of building on, right? One is trust. Now, who do you trust? So if I'm interacting with Facebook, does that mean I trust Facebook for my information? Like those are those basic questions that come up, and Web3 essentially builds on the fact that you don't need to trust an organization.
Yeah.
Right? Then there's permissionless. Then there is data and ledger, which is, once you write to it, you could never erase it's always written. The other is, just being, your privacy is a huge factor of, what Web3 sort of built on. And just overall the blockchain facility, right? So My take on that is, it is still evolving. So it started off with this whole Bitcoin paper that was published, right? Now Bitcoin overall, the blockchain infra is extremely slow. To sort of overtake that, Ethereum blockchain came up. Now there's Solana, which is supposed to be extremely, extremely fast. So it is evolving. It is a great piece of technology. If I had to bet, it is going to change the way we think about internet. So, we think about internet as this one humongous piece of infra that, is nobody has control over. Now, this is going to be where everybody can control internet. So it's a complete pivot on your thought process.
That's true. Do you have any NFTs that you have purchased?
Not yet, and that is one use case that I'm not very convinced about.
Okay.
So there are use cases that are extremely convincing. There are some use cases that are not convincing yet. NFT is one of those.
Okay, thank you so much, Manish. And my last question to you, we've already taken much of your time. Thank you so much. But one last question is that, as a tech person, right, what are the 3 gadgets that you absolutely cannot live without?
Yeah. So I'll extend the definition of a gadget a little bit, Kenny, if you don't mind. Right? So I think, like you see, right, I've not really answered your question straight ever. So, and that's what I generally do. But 3 gadgets. One is the car. I cannot live without my car. I love to go to places. I love to drive. And I love to sort of trek. So the gadget that I cannot live without is the car, is the SUV that I have. The second gadget I can't live without is my GPS. I'm extremely bad in my direction. And I need that to get to that spot or place. And so that's the second. The third is a variable. And my daughter, Riti, basically calls it my obsession for the quarter.
Your obsession for the?
For the quarter.
For the quarter, okay.
So it could be, the handpan, if I picked it up, or it could be, Call of Duty game that I'm sort of obsessing about and, going one level over the other. So currently it's the Call of Duty that I'm sort of playing. Or it could be a new watch that I've gotten. And I generally don't run, but just because I got a watch, I'll run for a couple of weeks. So it is my obsession for the quarter. The third piece is the variable piece.
Basically, you cannot live without gadgets. That's what we're understanding from this.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Manish. Thank you so much for your time today.
And to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit like and share. मिलते हैं अगली बार with some real insights on leadership and the industry.